keeping in the Trump vein, Elon Musk have really gone all in on the state of Pennsylvania. Elon is basically like running the campaign outreach there. He's got a new scheme currently happening where he's handing out $1 million checks at town halls that he's holding across the state. Let's take a listen.
All right. So, tonight's person is John Prayer. So, by the way, John had no idea. So, anyway, you're welcome. Yeah. So the only thing we ask for the $1 million is that you be a spokesperson for the petition, and that's it. Really, that's it.
So there we go. At these events, Elon is now handing out $1 million checks from the super PAC, America PAC. This has caused quite a bit of consternation as to whether it is real election law or not. But do you want to talk about it before we play Shapiro?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this gives like Hunger Games. I mean, the spectacle of the richest man on the planet dangling $1 million checks to get people to vote for his preferred candidate, as he's also, I mean, Elon Musk himself is the recipient of tens of billions of dollars annually in federal government contracts. He also is entangled in all sorts of legal messes vis-a-vis the federal government. He's been promised a high-level government job that would basically put him above those regulators who are trying to regulate his companies. He runs one of the top social media platforms in the world for the service of this candidate. And I just would say, if you like Elon, if you like Trump, that's fine. Just imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and it was George Soros on stage dangling $1 million checks to people to vote for Kamala Harris. Or it was, Jeff Bezos. Or it was Bill Gates. Or it was whoever, right? I think this should not be a partisan point that having the wealthiest man on the planet, this involved in shaping our national conversation, funding one of the two presidential candidates, and then being put in a position to effectively run significant parts of the government to his own benefit, both from a business and an ideological perspective. I think everyone should be deeply, deeply disturbed by that. I'm very happy for these people who are getting this cash. I'm sure they're very happy. But again, the idea of dangling $1 million checks to coerce, the masses into voting for his preferred candidate, I think it's quite dystopian, and it is also possibly illegal.
Right. So let's get to that. Well, okay. So I don't disagree with the word you said. I don't like dangling money, especially if people are going to come out to this. It's like this weird lottery mentality. I just don't. I think it's gross to see that.
It's like Squid Game vibe.
Yeah. It's just in general. I don't like people just having that dynamic going on. I do, in some ways, almost just appreciate the nakedness of here's $1 million if you go ahead and you sign this petition. We've seen some campaigns implement that previously, not to the tune of $1 million. But what was it, Doug Burgum? He's like, I'll give you $27 if you donate $1 to my campaign.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was because he needed the dollars to get on the debate stage.
That's right. And so just to lay out the mechanics of this before we get into the legal argument about whether or not this is legal. So the idea is if you sign this petition that supports First Amendment and Second Amendment rights, then you're entered into this lottery to win $1 million. But the reason why it is potentially election fraud is because you have to be registered to vote in order to sign the petition. So it's effectively, getting people to register to vote using, the promise of this lottery, the promise of these funds. And that's what puts it on very shaky legal ground. The governor in the state of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, of course, is a Democrat, and this is all happening, by the way, in the state of Pennsylvania. He says that this needs to be investigated, for potential election fraud. Let's take a listen to him making that case.
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing, not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. Look, Musk obviously has a right to be able to express his views. He's made it very, very clear that he supports Donald Trump. I don't, obviously, we have a difference of opinion. I don't deny him that right. But when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions that folks may want to take a look at.
So you think it might not be legal, yes or no?
I think it's something that law enforcement could take a look at. I'm not the Attorney General anymore of Pennsylvania. I'm the governor, but it does raise some serious questions.
All right, so Krystal, you flagged this. Just going to put it up there on the screen. From the Election Law blog, this is Rick Hassan. He's got an analysis here. He says there are in terms of the actual legality, as you said, it's all a question about whether this is interpreted as forcing people to register to vote or not. So Section 52 USC to 10307C, whoever knowingly or willfully gives false information as to his name, blah, 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 or pays or offers to pay or accepts payments either for registration to vote or voting shall be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. Emphasis
Both
added
sounds
there.
good. I don't think the $10,000 is going to be a big deterrent for Elon.
Don't think it's $10,000. I mean, in some ways, maybe that's the perfect thing, right? You're like, well, it's a $10,000 fine. You pay $1 million, and you just have to pay like, what is that, like less than 1% interest or something on top of that to make sure that you can pay the fine.
Very possible.
They look at this in terms of the DOJ says that any bribe can be anything having monetary value, including cash, liquor, lottery chances, welfare benefits, etc., and continues and says that it must have been intended to induce or reward the voter for engaging in one or more acts necessary to cast a ballot. However, such payments become actionable under that section I previously said if they are shared with the person that are being registered. So it all comes down to whether this was an act of registration to vote or an act of signing a petition, which would appear legal. Probably he's got the legal sign over from his campaign or from his people because it's an act of a petition, and I guess they could argue it in federal court, but it is an interesting election law.
Maybe.
It is one of those,
I mean, the other thing you said may be true too, which is like, yeah, maybe illegal, and it's a $10,000 fine, so who freaking cares?
Right, yeah, I mean, you know, that's
a lot of, I mean, that's how CEOs,
if the math works out.
That's how CEOs think, right?
Yeah.
They think about these, like, you know, SEC fines and whatever is just like a cost of doing business, and so it would not be crazy if he was like, yeah, it's probably illegal, but I'll just pay the fine, whatever, who cares?
Yeah,
there was another story I just wanted to flag for you guys because I do think this, you know, I've come to see, obviously, billionaire influence in politics. We cover it extensively. We cover on both sides of the aisle. We've been talking about Mark Cuban and Reid Hoffman on the Kamala side, but I do think it's fair to say there is nothing equivalent to what Elon Musk is doing in this election. Not only in this election, but potentially in American history. Really is pushing the bounds of you know, billionaire influence in American politics. He is, a Saagar reference, he's effectively running the ground game for Trump in a lot of key states, Pennsylvania in particular. We may cover tomorrow how that bet may not work out because there are some indications that that ground game effort is not going all that well, but we'll put that to the side for now. But in addition to this $1 million check effort, his super PAC that he funded is also running this, so they put up a website that is meant to look like Kamala's answer to Project 2025. It's called Progress 2028. And again, if you look at it, it appears to be making the case for Kamala, but then they use these, like, you know, caricaturish versions of her least popular policies to try to, like, low-key show people, like, oh, she's going to do all this crazy stuff when she gets elected. And they're also funding a text message campaign that does the same, where if you just look at the text message, it seems like it's coming from the Harris campaign, but it's actually coming from this Elon Musk-funded super PAC. So you can put this up on the screen. Open Secrets did the reporting here. Their headline is Pro-Trump Dark Money Network Tied to Elon Musk Behind Fake Pro-Harris Campaign Scheme. Now, this one, because they disclose that, you know, it's paid for by, I think the thing is called Building America's Future. So since they do the proper disclosures, it's probably not illegal, but it is, you know, it's pretty skeezy thing to do, to sort of posture like your opponent's campaign and then put out this caricaturish view that's meant to dissuade people. So this is one of the other efforts that he's involved in. And we'll talk later in the show in one of the latter segments about how he's also funding these ad campaigns where if you are a like Jewish pro-Israel voter, he's funding targeted ads that are like Kamala's not sufficiently pro-Israel. And then if you're a pro-Palestine voter, he's funding these ads that are like, Kamala stands strongly with Israel and always will, blah, blah, blah. So these are some of the tactics that he is engaged in.
There you go. The latter one is smart. The former one, what is it? I remember this has always been, this is part of the problem with election law. Why is any of this stuff even legal? What was that thing that Reid Hoffman
It's
did?
so deceptive.
And it was like some fake newspaper that Reid Hoffman funded
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Alabama, I'm thinking. It was completely
It was a bunch of
farce.
them actually all over the place that were meant to look like they were legitimate news
That's
sources,
right.
but were
Yeah.
just like, partisan.
They're like
Democratic
partisan,
propaganda.
literal press releases. So
Yeah, I mean, I do think a lot of this stuff should be, a lot more should be illegal than actually is, but the Elon Musk $1 million thing may actually
and the
legitimately be
loophole of
illegal
it all
and
is
should,
that
and
it's,
should be.
right. And the loophole of it all is it's all coming through super PACs, and so then you're outsourcing stuff to these super PACs. So none of it makes any sense. It makes it a lot less regulated, and we don't even have any really insight into even who's funding some of this. So anyway, it's crazy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these super PACs, they're called dark money super PACs because the election law is such that if you're not actively making the case for a candidate, then you can avoid any sort of scrutiny. And also some of the disclosure laws are such that if you dump in a bunch of money in the waning days of a campaign, it's not even disclosed till after the campaign. So these are all ways that billionaires get around, the public really knowing how much they're in. But I mean, we don't know the exact dollar figures for Elon Musk, but we know it's a preposterously large amount, and obviously he's very visible. So to your point, Saagar, it is quite naked, it is quite brazen. There's really no hiding how much he is trying personally to win this election for Donald Trump through whatever levers he possibly can.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.